Okay guys, today we're going to talk about different kinds of spam, how to identify it, and how to find out where it came from. I don't get much spam on my home account through Microsoft Exchange because I installed a program a while back called Forefront, which is provided by Microsoft, and what it does is it filters out most of the spam email as well as the email with malware type attachments. And so I really don't get any spam or junk email on my home Exchange account anymore. So I'm going to go to my Gmail account and show you what we got. I'm in the spam folder now because I don't have anything in my inbox. And so we're going to just roll through some spam messages. I picked a couple to show you, and so you'll see those as red when we get to them. The first one is this one: apply for a government grant. Sounds good, right? Who doesn't like free money? Well, I don't, because there's always a catch. And when I looked at this message last night, there wasn't much to it. You can see the white text is just a bit brighter than the darker white background. You can also click and drag to select the text and it'll be highlighted like this. A lot of gibberish, bunch of words, really nothing of substance. It says images are not displayed, which tells me that there are images attached or embedded into the message, and by default, to protect your safety, a lot of email programs, including Outlook and Gmail, won't show you inline images without you explicitly telling it to. I'm not going to click here because I value the integrity of the security of my computer system. So this is a generic spam message. My next question is, where did it come from? Well, we see the email address where it claims to come from, government-grants@whitegloveaudience.com, which is all well and good. I need to know more though. I need to know more than just the email address where it claims to come from, because that can be forged, and the date that it was sent. Gmail has a feature that will let you view the entire original message, including the full headers. I clicked this down arrow button, which is next to the reply button, and I get a menu that comes up, and I click on show original. This shows me the full headers right here, and it also shows me that they embedded some HTML code in this, which is where the link for the broken images came from. So we have all this HTML code right here, and then we see the gibberish words that were in the body of the message. That's all well and good. My next question now is, like I said, where did it come from? We see the domain name of whitegloveaudience.com. That's all well and good. I'm going to use a utility that will query a database that is available for everybody to, query in the public, that will query this database of domain names. It's called the Whois utility. And my particular utility that I downloaded is called Whois.cl. CL stands for command line because we're doing this at the command prompt. So Whois.cl, and then a space, and then the domain name of whitegloveaudience.com. That will query the database, and it tells us what we see here. It tells us that it is indeed a valid domain name, registered by Rails on Hosting out of Dallas, Texas. We can see they got the domain name not too long ago, first part of January, and they went the cheap route and only got it for a year. Okay, so we know that whitegloveaudience.com is a valid domain. That's great. So what we need to know now is, where exactly did this message come from? We get that by the IP address. Luckily, the IP address of where it came from are in the full headers right here. In this case, the IP of 79.174.149.145 is where it came from. There is another database that anybody with the correct tools can query. It's called the American Resource for Internet Numbers, ARIN, also known as ARIN. ARIN just takes care of American IP addresses, United States, Canada, and so on. But it does have links to other IP addressing authorities in Asia, Europe, and so on. The utility I use is whos IP, WHOSIP. So I use the whos IP and then a space, and then I put in the IP address and hit enter. What we see here is this message actually originated in Russia. There's the IP address range. No abuse link, or abuse email link, so we can't email anybody and say, hey, this IP address has been generating spam. We do have a phone number, and we do have a contact address, but it goes to the Network Operations Center. That probably won't do us much good. So, that tells us that, yes, White Glove Audience is a valid domain name, and this IP address is an IP address in Russia, so that tells us that this message originated in Russia. So we'll close that out, and that's how we tell where a spam message came from. Now we're going to talk about real quick the different kinds of spam. You see this one is just a bunch of gibberish. There's really no point to it at all. And so we'll go back to the spam folder, and there was another message that I found. This one will work. Admin@nationallottery.com, I'm assuming. Your unpaid funds. Again, wouldn't it be nice to get some money? So, admin@national.lottery.co.uk. So you would think that this came from the United Kingdom. Well, here's another address, gibberish.homepage.t-online.d, which tells me that it came from Denmark. How can we tell? We'll go to the show original, and there's the IP address. So we'll see where that IP address came from. Deutsche Telekom. So it came from Denmark, or wherever that is. So again, it came from overseas. It's not from the United Kingdom, and that, I don't know what that is. Anyway, moving on. We have some attachments. These are always fun because these can be loaded with viruses. So I'm going to download this one. I'm going to tell it to save it to my documents folder. And the Your Funds claims to be a text file. We're going to download that one as well. I'm not going to open it. I'm just going to save it. If you have any sort of antivirus software installed, more than likely when you bring up your right-click menu in Windows Explorer, you'll have an option to scan it. In this case, I have Microsoft Security Essentials installed, and it adds an option to your right-click menu to scan. So I'm going to scan it. Scan complete. It didn't find any issues. Okay. Here's the Your Funds text file. Same thing. Again, it didn't find anything. Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes you'll find one that is loaded with malware, in which case your antivirus software will tell you. Moving on to another message that I found last night. I happened across that one this morning. Maybe I can find it. Maybe I can't. Because it should be marked as read because I looked at it earlier. My will to you. I have no idea who Mrs. Joan Rodriguez is, and I have no idea why she would be sending me a will. Again, I will almost guarantee you this came from the same IP block, because the similar domain name. And here's another attachment. I'm going to download it. I'm going to save it in my documents folder. I'm going to go back to it, and we're going to scan with Security Essentials. No malware, which is fine. My point in all that is always be wary of any attachments, particularly if you don't know where it came from, if you weren't expecting it, and if you just have a bad gut feeling about the whole message. Just leave it be. I'm going to look at my curiosity here. That looks very similar, doesn't it? 194.25.134. Yep, same IP block. Here's another IP address. Let's see where that one came from. Another one from the Russian Federation. Okay. There's the gibberish that is the file. So, in short, when you get an email message that you don't recognize and you're not expecting it, the safest thing to do is delete it. If it's important, if it's somebody that needs to talk to you, they will probably resend it. The best thing to do is delete the message. Do not do anything with the attachments, and just delete the message. You'll save a lot of trouble that way, and your computer will be a lot more safer. Thanks for watching.